We're back at it with another video. This is going to be a lengthy video, little information, education. So if you want to hear me talk and watch this workout, this is for you. We're going to talk about what wins championships as I'm doing 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups here. The first thing is live competition. Now, what do I mean by live competition? You really got to get some stake in the game. There's people who watch the game, and then there's people who play the game. You don't want to be a bench warmer if you're thinking about competing. You got to get out there. And so here are some key points for you to really pay attention to. Sequencing. What does sequencing, environment, form, and technical aspects mean? You need to study what the circuit is. What is the exercise patterns and orders? Do you have a push-pull squat? Do you have push-push, pull-pull, and then a squat? You got to pay attention to those things. And then environment. Believe it or not, environment actually affects form. Some people believe in kipping and cross-fitting pull-ups, re-gripping, lockout pulls, lockout push-ups. Some people don't at all. Some people do the New York bounce, you know. Some people have different senses of form, so you really got to study the competition and the environment in which you're going. Likewise, the competition can either scare you, intimidate you, or hype you up. And then form and technical aspects. You got to know the name of the game and what you're doing, so study those things. There's nothing better than the actual first-hand experience. And second is pre-fatiguing and enduring. You got to understand that who you are prior before training is not who you are during the competition. So here are some key points to explain exactly what I'm talking about with pre-fatiguing and enduring. You need to pay attention to lactic acid buildup, lactic acid clearance, your strength endurance, and your numbers. Lactic acid buildup is just the pump, that aggressive energy sucking pump where it feels like, yeah, you feel strong and you feel big, but you also feel like you can't even provide or do another exercise. You got to understand your lactic acid management, your threshold. You specifically, how does your body clear that up? How long of rest do you need? What nutrition do you need intra workout, not pre, not post? Well, pre-workout could help, but intra workout in the middle, not post. And in understanding your numbers, what is your recharge or recovery numbers? That's something that's highly not understood. That's one of those things that it's like, okay, how many reps can you get with a certain allotted amount of time? When you're doing battles and competitions, you do not have the same amount of leisureness as you do when you're training. That's why training needs to be simulated to competition for the most part. And we'll talk about methodologies a little bit later. You also got to know your numbers. If you know your max set is 15 pull-ups and you have a 20 pull-up, 25 pull-up competition, and you're maxing out at 15, then you really got to understand your pacing and don't max out right away, because once you give it all out, you know, you're in a very dangerous place, because now you're enduring numbers past and beyond your original expectations. So your mindset is incredibly important, enduring the fatigue, enduring the pre-fatigue. Like I said before, who you are in the competition is not who you are in training. So the closer you have your live competition in effect into your training, the better you are in terms of preparation and winning. I can't stress that one enough. And for a quick example here, you see me in this workout, it's almost competition simulated. 50 pulls, 100 push-ups. You'll see a lot of push-pulls back and forth together, so train in that type of fashion. And then the number three, is working on the weak points. Now, this is a broad category, and weak points can literally be subject to anything. So here are a few key points that I have in mind that I think are really gonna assist you in understanding what it is I mean, because you have to understand yourself as an individual, but these are some general guidelines. Find your method, investigate your actual weakness, and then the law of repeated action. Find your methodology. Investigating your own personal weaknesses goes a long way, because you could have a very amazing style of doing muscle-ups. You could do 22, 25 muscle-ups, but when you do pull-ups right before that, you're gassed out. Your numbers drastically drop. You could be very strong at lactic acid clearance, but perhaps your technique is not good, you know? So a lot of things come into account. This is why you got to get in the lab and you got to start training properly. and then the law of repeated action, law of repeated effort. Some people call it that as well. And that is essentially, once you find out exactly where you're weak at, attack it. You have to literally understand how you're going to program correctly, how you're going to get after that weakness, and taking care of the wall. The wall is when you hit that lactic acid, or when you hit that weak point, how do you overcome and how do you prepare? You know, you want to make sure that there are no screwdrivers, no monkey wrenches as they call them. You don't want a curveball. You need to understand yourself, and you need to be honest with yourself. So those are a few key points when it comes to the first two. Live competition and pre-fatiguing and enduring. All these things do leak into each other. They are not separate. And, you know, you really need to understand why you're doing what you're doing. That's first two things on winning these championships here. And as for this block of training that I'm doing here, it's part of my whole entire training session. It's not just one workout. And the description will be in the whole, description box there, so you get all the ideas of what I'm doing. 40 dips, 20 pulls, 50 push-ups. Right after, I did do muscle-ups. Actually, there were 5 more muscle-ups after this whole set, but I wasn't able to record that. And I'm trying to get this done in a certain amount of time. Now, we're at rhythm and metric. So rhythm is your metric. What do I mean by that? I mean that once you understand the actual pacing of your exercises, of your circuit, how do you dictate your speed? Is your opponent somebody that's very fast and they're blowing themselves out and you don't have to worry about that? Are they an opponent that is creating a gap that you fear that you might not be able to come back to? Or are you creating a gap so quick that you can just keep doing it and you got no worries? Rhythm makes the successor in these battles. In the key points, I mentioned that you have to know your own capabilities as an individual, and I also mentioned you have to have a solid understanding of your rhythm as it comes to a block of exercises. A block of exercises, depending on what your circuit is, let's say you have 12, maybe 8 exercises you have to go through. You break them down in maybe 2 or 4 parts. If you break them down in 2 parts, you look at it as a block. So that means you have a series of movements coming up one after the other. Break it into 4, however you find an organized structure. So I literally mean if you have like push-ups, then pull-ups, then burpees, then squats. Let's say you break down the push-ups and pull-ups and you look at that block of exercises and your rhythm with it. How fast do you accomplish it? How fast do you need to accomplish it? A block of exercises, the second block would then be the burpees and the squats. Or you can combine them all together and look at it as a circuit of 4 exercises back to back to back to back. And yes, in reality, you have to accomplish your circuit, but how you dictate your speed per exercises or per block will help you a lot. I hope that makes sense. Just organizing yourself. How you look at the circuit for your battles, for your competitions, for your events is critical because you will know when to turn on all your gears. That's what I mean by rhythm is your metric. And I think it's very important to have that type of mindset because that type of mindset is the one that gets very, very technical, neurotic, almost obsessed with understanding the numbers, with understanding your own energy systems. And if you're trying to win, then you really got to put your best efforts. And when those best efforts are said and done, you then learn on later.
No, you're good. Don't worry about it.
So we're coming up close to our 5th and final point, which you'll see in a bit. One thing about cool gym culture is when you know people, they let They let you use what you gotta use. So here we go. Aerobic engine. Your aerobic engine is always part of pretty much anything you're doing, but does that mean it's the primary driver? Not necessarily. This is a strength endurance sport. Keep your aerobic workouts light, joint friendly, and it should make sense. Keeping it light means that on an off day, you can just go jump roping, long walks, rucking, maybe some type of like tactical conditioning, strongman conditioning, which is what I prefer a lot. It should make sense. In my opinion, you gotta understand, like I said, this is a strength endurance sport. So with these calisthenic battles or these fitness battles just in general, when you train your aerobic capacity, your aerobic engine, it's your heart rate. It's your heart rate variability. It's your cardiovascular health. So it's always going to be pumping. Your number one priority with your heart rate training is to be able to not have it elevated or get it elevated to a point that it's getting used to that type of stress. But you want that buffer. You want that buffer to protect you from gassing out too quickly in your sport, in your competitions. So that could mean a number of things on how you practice. You can do something that's joint friendly, meaning it doesn't have to pound the shoulders, the knees, and the elbows. It could be smooth, it could be solid. Like, you have to understand that, you know, these calisthenic events are very much heavy on the push, pull, and dips and muscle ups. So shoulders and elbows definitely get a lot of strain. They don't need any more strain than what it is from your cardio. Your cardio should be able to lend and help you with your training. It should not be removing you from your training. I hope that makes a lot of sense. As I mentioned, your aerobic capacity is always working, and although it might not be the primary engine, it's still going to be beneficial to have that extra oxygen in the tank. Most people will neglect aerobic training and they don't know how to do it seriously. And seriously does not mean destroying your body. Seriously means with strategy, with metrics, with measurement, understanding where your heart rate is now in comparison to where it was before. So just very, very important things to pay attention to. This is like a hierarchy of what I think are right now, in this moment in time, the top 5 things that win championships. It's what has gotten me the Boston Calisthenics 2025 inaugural Rising Star and Street Lifting 3rd place. First time ever for doing both those events. It's also what got me the tag team inaugural champion as well for Boston 2026. So I think I know a thing or two of what I'm doing here, and I've won a couple of battles myself already. I haven't lost yet. Lots of gems still come also from winning, which is what I'm dropping now, because apart from actually competing, I'm also creating. And when you create these events and you create these these environments for people to come through, you have all types of bodies and all types of mindsets who come in to battle and compete and show off their capabilities. So lastly, I just want to talk about this workout, and I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend Jade Elise. She has been killing it so far. She is always down to do something difficult. She hasn't always been into calisthenics, if at all. It's always been difficult for her. But boy, oh boy, in the last 5 months has she made some significant progress. And very, very proud to see her shining. We are going to make a dedicated video to women's calisthenics as well, because it's possible for everybody. Everybody has a stake in this. It's not just a male sport. It's not just, oorah, testosterone. There's a lot of good things coming when you train with your body, when you master your body weight, when you move with calisthenics, with grace and strength, with beautiful strength. And that's something that I want to keep extrapolating and sharing. It's not just belonging to the men. So with that, I'm going to wrap it all up. I hope you guys enjoyed this workout. I hope you guys enjoyed this information. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Peace.